In that very moment, we were told that my husband has cancer. We were told that the cancer cells were very active and that he needed to start chemotherapy in 2 weeks' time. We had just gotten married about 5 days before finding out that he had cancer. Having to fly back an emergency flight back to England to find out this news was heartbreaking. We looked at each other in shock. We couldn't believe this is what we were coming home to. As he was in hospital and I was home alone, I would just cry. I would cry, not being able to control how I felt. Although at the same time I'm trying to be strong as a wife, but seeing your husband in pain in the hospital bed, with you not being able to do anything, with the doctor saying this is it, you know, we need to do chemo, and then in the future look to operate and remove the tumour, which means he'd be off work for about 2 years and he won't be able to walk, he won't be able to speak properly, he won't be able to move the side of his face where the tumour was. I was in the church and I decided to turn the situation around by using my faith. We started doing purposes, I started praying, I started using my faith and changing my mindset, not thinking that this will happen in a negative way, but something positive will come out of this, that this situation can change. The day that he went to go and sign the papers for the chemotherapy, he was told that he no longer has to do the chemotherapy because the cancer cells have stopped. And when he told me this, I was in so much shock and so happy that God had really answered and changed and began to change the situation around. Now my husband is cancer-free. We are so happy. I love him so much, more than even before. And I can see that so many other things, positive things are going to be happening for both of us because our faith, using our faith has never let us down.
Hello, a very good evening. Welcome to Finding Answers. Tonight we're talking about beyond the pain. There are two kinds of pain in this world. There's a physical pain, which can be, terrible, sometimes even to look at. If you're a squeamish person and you see someone, in a hospital with a broken limb or after surgery, it can be something terrible to look at. But after this pain is dealt with and the person recovers, that's it, right? You're ready to move on. But there is another kind of pain, which is the emotional pain. And that sometimes you don't really know that someone is going through that emotional pain. Perhaps you, right now, you are going through a tremendous amount of emotional pain that people don't really know you're struggling with. Now, the problem with this pain is that it doesn't go away with time. Time does not cure this pain. Any other pain, a headache, or if you have an accident or something happens, you get a treatment and you feel better. With emotional pain is a problem because unless you deal with the root of the problem, which sometimes people choose not to, because it can be hard, it can be painful, going to the root why that problem happened and dealing with it, then it's something that can last for years. Sometimes there are people who carry that with them their whole life. And maybe you're watching me now and you have the emotional pain of a betrayal. The emotional pain of someone that you trusted with your life. You trusted by marrying that person. You trusted by selling a house and then moving in with that person, starting a life together, and that person cheated on you. Perhaps you are a lady who had this beautiful marriage and you stuck together with that person for 20 years, 30 years during the most difficult times of your life. And then when you relied on this person the most, perhaps they swapped you for someone younger. And that was a bitter pill to swallow. Perhaps you, until today, you feel like you cannot trust anyone anymore. Today we're talking about this. I want to give you the chance, you that are going through a broken relationship, a broken marriage, that you say, I will never trust anyone ever again. Perhaps you say this to yourself. In fact, I have Victoria here with me as usual. Good evening, Victoria.
Good evening.
I was reading last week that, there is the kind of perception that men cheat more than women. But over the past few years, because women are now more, exposed to the real world than they were before. Women used to be homemakers before. Now they have careers, they have jobs. The numbers, as into who cheats, are now quickly reaching almost equal levels. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, when you get a group of people, for example, women, who are more likely to be homemakers, like you were saying, and then they are sort of, sounds a bit of an odd thing to say, but liberated in some way.
Into the world.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Don't mean to be patronising, but just, on the grand scheme of things, what you tend to find is the numbers may actually not just reach the same level, but may overtake. Because people will be going through, we've got programs, magazines, all the things that men have, but actually even more now. So having access to online dating, Facebook messaging, all those kind of things just can make having an affair, for example, quite easy to do, quite straightforward and easy to do as opposed to before.
And when we're talking about emotional pain, I mean, almost immediately our minds are led to think about relationships, right? And it can be a very horrible thing to try to recover from that, because immediately, if someone cheats on you, you start to think, maybe there's something wrong with me. What's wrong with me? So how painful is it mentally on someone and emotionally, sometimes trying to cope with that and deal with that, you think?
It was extremely difficult, and some people that I've spoken to have actually said it would be easier if their partner had died than to cheat on them.
Really?
Because they need to find a reason, and they want to look at themselves and blame themselves. And obviously you can't do that, you can't blame yourselves, but that's your natural reaction, is to say it must be something about me, because they've gone out of their way to choose somebody else other than me, then I can't be lovable. So very, very difficult.
Yeah, and the instinctive reaction we have is that I did something wrong, there's something wrong with me, and that's not true. I mean, it could be that there were factors that led to that. Maybe you're watching me now and you think, well, I played a part in my marriage breaking down. I played a part in my relationship not working. And perhaps it's true, but it doesn't justify someone cheating on you, for example. Maybe you weren't a victim of someone cheating on you, but you were a victim of someone who said, look, I can't keep on with this relationship anymore. And maybe you were left alone, broken. So if you're watching me right now and you are in this situation, I want you to do something. Take a few moments for you to give us a call, because maybe you've been trying to cope with this pain by yourself for a really long time and you haven't been able to do so. I'd like to open the phone lines right now. Our team are ready to speak to you, and you can tell them, look, I'm going through this pain. I don't know what else to do anymore to move on. We're not going to tell you that you're going to need to do this or that to get the person back. Because whether you get someone back or not, the most important thing is to heal that open, gaping wound that you have in your heart right now. That's the most important thing. And I believe that faith can play a part in doing that. So if you want to give us a call and talk to our team, the number is 020-7686-6300. You who are there, perhaps, sitting down by yourself. Maybe you would want someone to sit next to you, to be there hugging you with a hand over your shoulder. I was saying today that sometimes when you're single or when you're recently separated or divorced, it seems like everybody else you see on the street is with someone, right?
It's so true.
Has that happened to you?
It's just one of those things that when something happens like this, it's the same. It's like when you meet somebody new and fall in love, you think you see them everywhere, you see their car, and it's exactly the same for people who are single. And I do have a friend who actually has a real problem with this. She can't check Facebook because she gets so irritated by people in happy relationships. And it's just a natural thing. We just instantly get jealous, and then we see it everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like it's like if you see 100 people walk close to you in the street, and out of those 100 there's one couple, but you won't see 99 people, you will just see that one couple. Maybe that's how you feel. That pain is eating you up inside. Listen, we want to help you. In fact, you will be meeting someone in the program here later on tonight, that because she was cheated on, the way for her to deal with that pain was to cheat back on that person. Maybe you're thinking this will solve your problem. You will see from her example that it didn't. So if you want to get in touch, please do so on 020-7686-6300. Now, let's do something different also. Victoria, I've been working with couples for about 2 or 3 years. For those who are familiar with my channel, I do a program called Love Talk. I do these seminars called Love Talk Live. And if people want to write in for relationship advice, we're going to open our emails for you to do that tonight. If you say, look, I don't know if I should take this person back. Should I cheat on him? Should I, never be with him again? Should I try to get him back or get her back? Then send your email to us. Victoria will read it out. I'll try to advise if I can. They can reach us on which email address?
So our email address is help@findinganswers.tv.
Or Facebook?
Or Facebook, just search for Finding Answers, or Twitter, start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV.
Let's go to a quick break. If you are going through this emotional pain, this pain that has been there for years, this pain that has been there is like a black hole in your soul, get in touch. We'll try to help you here tonight, and I'm sure the real life story you'll see here will also help you. We'll be right back.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort and homework from you. Introducing the Love Therapy website. Love Therapy can help you find true love and show couples how to enjoy happiness through a successful relationship. So why not click on the Love Therapy website for dynamic, interesting and useful tips on love. You can watch inspirational videos from happy couples sharing their experiences of maintaining relationship strength, and find out when the Love Therapy meetings are. If you're looking forward to a first date, then the Love Therapy website has 5 tips for that all-important first date. And why not sign up for the Love Therapy newsletter to receive the latest news and events postings? All you need at your fingertips. The Love Therapy website.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. So tonight our topic is beyond the pain. So we're talking about emotional pain, and actually we've focused on cheating and infidelity, and I was looking at some research earlier that stated that more than 90% of people believe that being unfaithful is unacceptable. However, 30 to 40% of people are actually unfaithful. And I was looking into reasons as to why people will cheat in relationships. And the first reason is quite a simple one. That's something about the relationship, so relationship reasons. So maybe the love is lost, there's a lack of intimacy, and those reasons push somebody to be unfaithful. But on the other hand, there are individual reasons, and this is when somebody will systematically go out of their way to cheat on their partner. And I was just looking into it, and there's something called overcompensators. And an overcompensator is somebody who has a void in their life that they're trying to fill by finding some kind of intimacy outside of a relationship. So we do have a guest on a bit later who is going to give us more of an understanding as to how she felt when she went through this. So here's a short video explaining more about the topic.
Have you felt pain in your life? Maybe you have experienced a huge emotional or physical trauma, or a succession of traumas. How does a person start to rebuild their life once they have experienced such pain? What would life be like beyond the pain? While people's emotional pain can last differing amounts of time, you will need to experience the feelings of pain before you can start to heal and move on. Grief is a part of our inbuilt healing process. Embracing sorrow is necessary for healing to take place. But equally important is the decision to put an end to that grief. No one can rush the grieving process, but it is vital that we enter it with the determination to stop it one day. Healthy reflection is one very important part of living beyond the pain. It can help to reaffirm relationships that you had with people, but you also need to ensure that you're looking to the future. By looking forward, you can start making decisions, resolutions even. You can use current strategies to gain mastery over future circumstances. But people who have experienced great pain in their life may also need help getting beyond the pain. If you don't have the ability to see hope beyond the hurt, then do speak to somebody about it. Because there is life beyond the pain.
Welcome back. I want to remind you we're doing something a little bit different here today. We're talking about emotional pain and the fact that it's very hard to overcome emotional pain. If you want to ask us for advice, being that I have been working with couples and relationships and singles alike together with my wife for a while, you can email us in and ask for relationship questions, relationship advice. As the emails will come in, Victoria will read them. I'll try to advise you if I can. The email address is help@findinganswers.tv. We're going to leave that on the screen throughout the program. But you can also call in. Perhaps you've hidden away from the world, you feel depressed, you feel suicidal. These are all things that people can feel not because of love. You know, if people say that love hurts, love causes, that's a lie. People, they don't know what they're talking about. Love causes none of these things. These things are caused by betrayal, by the end of a relationship that ended really in a bad way. And maybe you're suffering with an emotional pain. Maybe you've had a scar, a cut, a broken bone that hurt you for a few hours and then you were okay with medical treatment and you recovered well. But that emotional pain maybe is eating you up inside and you need help. If that's the case, then do get in contact. I want you to meet tonight's guest who is here to tell us about her story of how she dealt with pain, and she dealt with it pretty bad at that time, but she bounced back. Let's meet her.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Welcome back. So you've probably heard the saying that two wrongs don't make a right. You probably heard that. Now, my guest here tonight, Paulette, she knows that very well because when she was hurt, her way of dealing with that was to cause pain back. Is that right, Paulette?
Yes.
Before you tell us what happened, where did your problems in relationships start? Where do you remember things starting?
I think things started because, first of all, I would feel very lonely by myself. Mm-hmm. And so every time I would seek for attention from other people. So when I start to receive attention from guys and they start to look at me, say, hi, you're very beautiful, and then I start to feel, whoa, so
that
I'm
made you feel
something.
good.
Yeah. And then it came like the first boyfriend, then it would just be like friends, like, oh, look, the other one, and then I would just seek for other attention. I couldn't be by my own. I wasn't that confident to be just by my own. I needed to have someone with me.
When from the time you started your first relationship, what's the longest that you were by yourself without having a relationship?
From the start, the longest that by myself, it was just like after the last one, before the last one, probably just days.
Days.
Or weeks, yeah.
So you would end a relationship,
And
a few
start
days
another
later
one.
you would start another one.
Yeah.
A few weeks later. So you couldn't be by yourself.
No, it came to a point that I finished one in a night and I started another one in the same night. And other extremely was like I had 2 boyfriends at the same time.
So there was a time you had 2 boyfriends at the same time.
Yeah.
Why? Why? 2 questions. Why couldn't you be by yourself? And secondly, why would you have 2 boyfriends at once?
I couldn't be by myself because it's like I would feel myself like unworthy, like not feeling
Good enough.
good enough. Yeah. So, and then having a boyfriend and every time having him for me was the best thing. Yeah.
So it's like if you had someone saying that you were beautiful and that liked you, it made you feel good. But if you didn't have that, then you would feel bad.
Yes, I think also because I grew in a house where just have a woman, then the stories every time would be like just man, 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 man. And then, I was like, okay, then I need a man also, so I may feel very good.
So you thought that having a man would be the solution to your problems?
Yes, that is the thing.
So it was almost like a drug, right? Just like people, the person sometimes can't be without a drug, you couldn't be without a boyfriend.
Yes.
Right? Tell us about that story where you had 2 boyfriends at once. Why?
Yes, because my last serious one, we were like every time arguing, and sometimes we would break up, like, and then I would go to find another one like that, or sometimes it's just a matter of calling, hi, and then I know that this guy likes me, and then I would just say yes to him, and he would start in a relationship with me.
Okay.
And then I would come back to the other one again.
All right. Were you a person with no integrity? Were you a bad person?
Not a kind, no.
I'm asking you this because some people listening to your story now will be surprised because some women are fighting to have one guy, right? One guy that will be faithful to them and so on. You had the opportunity to be with many of them.
Yeah.
And of course, not at the same time, but you had ended the relationship, then you had another one. And some people might say, well, she's a very bad person because that's not right, what you did. Is that how you saw it, or it was your way of dealing with the insecurities that you had?
I would just feel like appreciated because I would have a boyfriend, and then I would have friends that I would think that were friends, and at some point they would be like a handsome and things like that, and I would give them a chance, like make him standing behind. If something happened here, I would go back to
like
you.
a backup plan.
Yes, it would be like that. I had a lot of women who didn't like me at all.
No, I imagine there are some women watching us now who maybe don't like you, right? But you're going to tell us how you changed, right?
Yes.
And the other thing I wanted to find out, because I know you were telling us that there was a point that you were betrayed, you were cheated on, and your way of dealing with that was probably not the best way. Tell us about that experience of when you were cheated on, what happened and what you did.
Yes, because I felt like I started a very serious relationship where I know his family, he would know my family, and I was like, oh my days, I started a new one, very serious, and then I felt very good. But and then at the beginning it was like a paradise, but after that he started cheating on me, and then I was like, whoa, what happened here? So I say, don't worry. In my situation, I feel like, okay, you made with the wrong person, I'm gonna do the same to you. It's like a giving back to him what he was giving to me. Yeah, pay back to him.
But didn't you think if I do this, then I'm gonna be as bad as he is?
No, at that moment, I think the person don't think like that. You just think like, I don't want to feel like bad as myself, and then other people will know like, oh, he's cheating on her or poor her. I wouldn't.
You didn't want people to think like that about you.
Yes.
But when he cheated on you, did you feel bad? Did you feel, this emotional pain we were talking about earlier? Did you feel like that?
Yes.
So why did you cheat on him also? Did you want to cause the same pain, or?
I think I had two reasons. One, because I want that to cause the same pain to him, not for him to know, but it's like on my head, it's like I did the same to you. But on the other hand, it was just me. It's like I would know someone and I like it, and I would just not control myself.
I'm going to say something, don't be offended with what I'm going to say. But that thought of, I'm going to cheat on this person as well for him to feel the pain, that's perhaps the most stupid thing a person can do. Are you offended?
No.
No. But it's true. Look, thinking like that is perhaps one of the most dumb things that someone can do, because you are saying that this person is so bad, so horrible, and because he's so horrible, she's so horrible, you do the same thing that they did, so you're not as horrible as them, you're worse. Right? You are worse. If you're watching me now and you say, well, I'm currently in this situation because I was cheated on, so I'm doing some payback. I'm making this woman feel what I felt because she cheated on me or this man, then you are as bad. You are a person, you have a serious issue. You have a serious issue with your own insecurities, because that was your problem, Paulette. You had all these people after you. Instead of thinking, wow, I have all these people, these men after me, maybe I am beautiful. Instead, you would only feel beautiful if you had a man with you.
Yeah.
So maybe that's your problem. You don't feel beautiful because someone cheated on you. Like we said earlier, you think you are the problem. Someone hurt you, you think you have a problem. There's something wrong with you. When the person knows their value, they don't think there's a problem with them. They think, okay, it's their loss, move on, right? I remember, let's do a test here. I'm going to stand up. Let's see if the camera can follow me. Are you ready, João? Not yet? Okay, let's zoom out. Let me tell me when you're ready. I was, good, let's see. Still cut my head, but we're getting there. When I was single, someone tried to introduce me to this girl. And I remember, I think I said this here before, I went and spent £100 on clothes for my first date. Now, this person hadn't met me yet. Someone just said, oh, this guy, James, he's a nice guy, I'm going to introduce you to him. Now, I was standing on, in a lobby of a building with my £100 worth of clothes that were, looking back, in 99, it was horrible. I bought the worst clothes possible for a date. And this person took one look at me and said no. And she left. Maybe you say, James, don't feel sorry for me. Because I didn't feel sorry for myself. I said, what happened? She doesn't want to meet me. No problem. I'm going to find someone else. No problem. And, okay, I know that I may not be very tall, but don't worry. Trust me, I have no issues with insecurities or so on. But then, when a person starts making bad decisions, when a person starts looking at, at someone and say, oh, I can only live if I have this person is my sunshine and so on, you stop living. You stop living your life because someone betrayed you and you think your life revolves around that person. There are 7 billion people in this world, and you are suffering a pain that is immeasurable because one of one person among 7 billion. Don't tell me that there isn't someone else among these 7 billion people in the world to make you happy. And by the way, maybe you say, look, but I want that one. I want that one. Maybe the problem is not whether you want that one or someone else. Maybe the problem is within you. You need to deal with that pain. That pain has to go, because once that pain goes, you see things from a different perspective. That's the problem. That's why today we're talking about beyond the pain. The problem is that you have this pain that consumes you. You haven't dealt with it. And you think that going to a new relationship will make your pain go away. It may make that pain subside a little bit, but the root of the problem is still there. Your solution to your problem is not a new relationship. The solution with your problem is you dealing with your issues that are there, and that's where God comes in. He can help you find the cause to the root of the problem and help you move on. We're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to find out how Paulette changed, how she became this person who no longer depended on someone to make her feel special, but also you will see that cheating on the person who cheated on her didn't solve her problem, because she went into a hole of depression. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away, and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered, and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. A Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works.
The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier?
Has the US been steering killer drones? Missiles won't reach Syria for several months. Will sell big fighter jets to the Assad.
Welcome back. We're talking about beyond the pain, emotional pain. If you need advice on relationships, send us an email, help@findinganswers.tv. And if you are right now going through a tremendous deal of emotional pain, a pain that perhaps you are great at masking, that nobody knows what you're going through, then give us a call, because our team are here to pray for you, to help you, to support you. The number is 020-76 866300. When we were talking to Paulette, we noticed that a lot of the decisions, the bad decisions she made in her past, was because of the issues that were within her. Now, going back to you, Victoria, usually a person's behavior is only the external behavior of what really goes on inside them. So the problem with Paulette was not the fact that she went from one boyfriend to the other. The problem is the reason why she did that. And there's people who have these issues that they mask with other things they do that they've never really dealt with, right?
Yeah, and it's exactly the same with addictions such as drug addictions and alcohol addiction. It's all about overcompensating because you want to get instant gratification because you have such a big emptiness in your life. So it's exactly the same as drugs and alcohol. This instant, it's like the first moment you meet somebody and you have a wonderful time, and that kind of instant gratification is lost in longer term relationships. So somebody is trying to overcompensate. They're not looking into themselves and thinking, what am I missing? What's the problem? It could be something from childhood, it could be something when they were growing up or a traumatic experience, but they are just overcompensating over and over again and really ignoring the core problem, which is some emptiness or void in their life.
Yeah, and if the person continues, you know, just, I'm going to try to find the next boyfriend, the next girlfriend, the next marriage, you are just perpetuating the problem. You're not solving the problem, which is what Paulette was doing up to a certain point. Now, Paulette, going back to you, what was the lowest point of your life? When did you feel that you were at your lowest?
A lot of people start to talk bad about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to stop myself and say, Paulette, you're doing that. He's gonna be called as hominizer,
mm-hmm.
but how about you? Then that point I would feel myself very, very bad. It's like the flux on my eyes just felt like, look at you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would feel very bad about me. And then a friend started to talk, and he said that he was talking with other friend, and he says, oh, look at him, he just cheated on Paulette so badly. And she said, oh, but Paulette do the same to him. They
mm-hmm.
are both like
as bad as each other.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, at first I would feel like, so they know that I'm not the poor one.
Mm-hmm.
But at the other hand, I would feel like, oh, look at me, who I became.
So you became as bad as those people that were hurting you. You were saying earlier as well that there was a point you started going into depression, right? Yes. When was that and how bad was it?
First of all, I couldn't see myself without him. So even though I know that this relationship wasn't healthy for me because it wasn't happy, I wasn't happy.
So even though he cheated on you, and you cheated on him, you still wanted him?
Yeah, yes, every time.
You were blind.
Yeah, completely.
You were very blind, you had a serious problem, right?
Yes,
because usually if someone hurts you, you run away from them, but you wanted them back.
Yeah, because you don't really realize that. Your mind, I think my mind at that point just was focused on the good things. Like I used to say, I lived like 6 months of a paradise in our relationship, mm-hmm. and then almost 3 years, like painful, like mm-hmm. every time suffering for that, and I would just keep my mind remembering the good time. Yeah, the six times, the good times. But he was like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then my eyes were just closed about the things that he would do, because
mm-hmm.
every time he would do something wrong and come to me like crying, showing,
mm-hmm.
I would just feel like, oh, this is really him. Yeah.
So how bad was the depression when you struggled with the depression?
I struggled with depression when I started to realize that I lost him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that is the end. I was even thinking to, like, I started to have suicidal thoughts, mm-hmm. because I would just feel like, what is the point? I would not gonna find anyone like him. Like I said, I would feel like he's everything for me. He's my happiness, he's my joy, he's my everything.
Mm-hmm.
it's like I was completely blind about the pain, just thinking, and then I closed myself. I wouldn't talk to anyone because I would feel like everyone would start to look at me and say, oh, look at her, the relationship just broke up. And then I closed myself. I would be just a home, school, work, not contact with anyone. If my friends would call me, I would just ignore. I would put myself on the bedroom crying.
When did you come to the church? Was it at that point you came to the church?
At that point, I was there, but I would just ignore some points. You know, you go and you listen. You know, some things are right, and other things you prefer to just ignore, like, it's not that thing. And I wouldn't take things serious.
So you had started coming to the church, but you were just there. You weren't really taking anything serious, or using your faith, right? When did you start using your faith, and when did you change?
When I just see myself like, I almost do things again, because I start a new relationship, the same problems again, and then I finish and I say, okay, I think for me is enough. I already tried a lot. I just realized I don't know how to deal with that. And then I start to want to do things serious, not just going to church and be there, but say, okay, if there is a God, he really needs to help me. First of all, I was just upset with him, like, oh, I go to church and why my life is like this, and then I remember I woke up 3 a.m. to do this prayer, and then I was so upset with him.
And so you were angry at God even though you were the one making the mistakes, right? And that's how many people are. They say, oh, why does God? Actually, it's not God making the bad decisions. You were making the bad decisions. But then you started to look deep in yourself and saying, I have a problem. I need to deal with these issues. Is that what you did? You dealt with the issues you had, the insecurities?
Yes, at this same night, when I started to just get upset talking to him like, oh, look, God, I go to church, my life's still like that. But and then in my mind just open up, like, okay, even though you do all of this, look what you do on Fridays, look what you do after you go to church, look what you do there. And then I see myself doing everything wrong. Even though I went to church, I would go to church on Wednesday, and on Thursday I would just do my bad things. On Friday I would just say my mom, I would go to the night vigil and go to the pub or to clubs and do my wrong things again.
So when you decided to take things seriously with your faith, that's when things started to change?
Yes.
How are you today? What changed in you? I mean, you told us you were this person full of insecurities, needing to be in a relationship, from one relationship to the other. What changed?
Then when I started to take things serious with God, I would just go to church, listen properly. I say, okay, I would do everything that these guys are there saying, and I will follow exactly what they say. I will follow. I will talk with the pastor or with the bishop. I will follow everything what they say, but my life needs to really change. And then when I start to do this process, going there, listen, taking things serious, be apart from that, take that friends, take this kind, delete the numbers of these boys, doing all this kind of things. And then I start to realize the thing in me. I start to be very confident. I start to come when I start to ignore the guys. When they call, even though they handsome or things like that, I just ignore them.
Could you ignore them before?
No, I couldn't. Before I couldn't.
Because before your confidence depended on these guys saying that you looked good or whatever, right?
Yes.
And then when you no longer depended on that, when that confidence came from God, not from them, that's when you changed.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Very confident. Sometimes even school, my teachers say that I'm too confident. Every time I want to talk, I don't care. Like if usually people are very, how can I say, shy, open up. I just say, because I really feel like myself like a princess, like a woman that really know the worth of me. Some friends also say sometimes, oh, Paulette, your standards are so high, you don't need to be like that. But it's like, when I start to know God, I think he really showed me the value that I really have, so I start to just feel myself so good.
And today, do you need to have two boyfriends at the same time? One Like one relationship ends, the other one starts?
No way, no way.
Has that ended?
No way. This finished completely.
Oh, this finished. When I said has that ended, you said no way. I was scared.
No.
So this ended, right?
Yes. I'm how can I say? I'm single for a long time. I never ever get single that long. So, and I feel so good. I really feel so good. Sometimes when I see some friends calling me, asking me for advice, and because of relationship, and seeing that situation, it's like, oh my days, I'm very happy the way that I am right now.
That's great, and of course we have to say that you are happy like that, but of course you want to be happy also with someone, right?
Yes.
But the change is that you no longer depend on that to be happy.
Yes, this is true.
And that's the point. You know, a lot of people tell me, you know, if I just had someone, I would be happy. You wouldn't be happy if you had someone, because you have to be happy before you find someone. I was talking to someone today, and this person said something very interesting, that when you're happy, if you're single and you're happy, you attract people to you, the right kind of people. But if you're single and you're miserable because you're single, you're miserable because the pain that someone caused you is still there, you might even attract someone. It'll be difficult because no one wants to be with someone who is miserable. But if you do attract someone, who do you attract? You attract other miserable people. So the solution, and listen, maybe you don't even like what I'm saying. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to help here. The solution is for you to deal with the pain you have. And maybe say, James, I can sort out this pain by myself. I can deal with it by myself. You can't, because if you could, you would have dealt with that already. So why do we teach people in the church to pray, to ask God to help them with that pain? Because some things you can do by yourself. Some things you can, you know, we're human, we're adults, we can deal with certain things by ourselves. Others, you can't. Others, it has to be God going to the root, the engine room where the problem is, which is inside of you, and dealing with that. And then things can change. We're going to see what the people of London have to say about tonight's topic. And after the break, Pastor Abraham will be here with me. And you will see that this prayer we'll make at the end can help. Perhaps you're struggling right now to overcome pain. Then we're going to be praying for you. And if you want to speak to our team, to receive a prayer, personal prayer, specific for your problem, then get in touch. 020-7686-6300. We'll be right back.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi, I'm Chica on the streets of London for Finding Answers. Tonight's topic is Beyond the Pain. I'm going to be asking the general public why they think it's so hard to recover from emotional pain. Let's see what they say. Why do you think it's hard to move on from emotional pain?
I think it's because as it's emotional, you keep remembering it every time that you walk, and you see something that remembers of it, and then you start to let it go, you know? That's why I think, because you keep remembering and I think about it every time.
Reason is, obviously, as a human being, we get involved with someone emotionally. Say, for example, if the man or woman, they find a boyfriend or girlfriend, so obviously they get involved and being together for some times. Then it gets very, very hard once they separate. I mean, say, for example, if you have a cat in the house, say you have a cat for a couple of years, if you lose it, probably you're upset for a couple of years. Now, as a human, obviously we get more hurt.
It depends on where you're from, your background, you know, and for some people it's very easy, but for others it could be very, very difficult. You know, it could be family problems or just financial problems. That makes it difficult for them to move on.
I think it's more difficult than sort of physical pain, because emotional pain, it's to do with the mind, and it's to do with, you know, it's overcoming something that doesn't heal straight away. You know, it takes a long time, I think, and it requires a lot more sort of help to overcome something that's sort of psychological and to do with the mind. It takes a long time.
You know, the biggest problem about having emotional pain is that people want to cope with that pain alone. And when you deal with things alone, you're making things harder for yourself. I have here Pastor Abraham. Good evening, Pastor Abraham. Good evening. You know, there is no reason for a person to go through a problem, no matter what that problem is, by themselves. When you go through something by yourself, you're making things harder for you. So why not share the load with someone? One of the good things about the church that we represent here is that people can come in and talk to someone anytime, right?
Yeah, and you know, Bishop, one of the promises that God has made is that He will send a helper. As you're mentioning that it's harder for people to overcome their pains by themselves. And by coming to the church, by approaching someone who has had, you know, experiences as well. Because we pastors, we went through different situations, you know, in our lives, in our daily lives, being in our families, marriage, love life, whatever. So we can definitely help this person and placing ourselves in their shoes, not by judging them. For example, Paulette, she was giving her testimony here and I do believe that when you know she came to the church, no one judged her. On the opposite, she was helped then there.
No, in fact, you know, nobody is judged because we all came to God completely messed up. Most people who are, you know, attending the church, they came, not most, probably all of them, completely messed up. And the good thing is that when you get there, you find someone who supports you. You know, if you're going through pain, emotional pain right now, a pain that you think nobody can understand, perhaps it's true. Perhaps it's true that few people will understand because only 2 people know the pain that you go through. There's only 2 people in this world that know exactly what you're going through. One of them is you, and the second one is God, right? But perhaps the people that surround you, they can empathize with you, but they don't know what you're going through. But the thing is, it's always good to, when you feel weak, to have someone there by your side. The Bible says 2 are better than 1. Not necessarily because you're married, right? But two are better than one because if every time you feel weak, you have someone next to you, that person can say, come on, don't give up, don't quit, because we're going to make this better.
And the good thing is that this help is available. This person just needs to give us a call or send us an email, and definitely someone will be right there to help you, which means you don't need to suffer alone, you don't need to suffer by yourself. And you know, Bishop, the pain, this emotional pain, for example, how many people we have been speaking with that they are bound by their past. Because emotional pain is different than any other pain. Unless the person solves this problem, she'll be bound by the past. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. There are women who are very unhappy now because they never overcame that emotional pain when they were still teenagers.
Men
as well.
Right? You mentioned women, but men as well. This is the same thing. Now, here's the problem. We ran out of time to make the prayer tonight. We are right in our last few seconds of the program. We didn't, there were so many things to talk about tonight. We didn't have enough time. But let's do this. If you do want to receive a prayer, the phone lines will be open for another 5 minutes. You can call. You can even send us an email because I can reply to your email even after the program is finished. And what I want you to take away from you tonight is two things. Number one, pain, emotional pain, doesn't vanish by itself. You have to deal with it. And second thing, if you're going to deal with a problem, then make sure you have backup. Make sure you have support. You know, even the boxer in the ring, he's the only one in the ring against his opponent. There's nobody else there that can fight for him. But his trainer is always on his corner saying, do this, do that, don't give up. That's what we want to do with you. We want to be there on your corner. You don't have to go through your problems by yourself. If you want help, you want to speak to someone, do that right now, even as we finish this program. 020-7686-6300. God bless you. Have a wonderful night.